Well, we meet again. I'm getting ready to start on another project, so I'm glad you're here. And this one is going to be using some of the fabric that I just got from Regina, my subscriber buddy. She sent me a bunch of fabric. There's a video where I unbox all of the things that she sent me, and I'm going to start with this. I'm making a two-piece set out of it. It's going to be a vest and a skirt. I'm going to be working with this pattern. I drew the pattern onto this paper from my last video. So if you watched the video that just posted, it's a jumper dress that I got inspiration to make based on a picture I saw on Instagram. And I draped my mannequin with fabric, and then I just traced those fabric pieces onto this poster board so that I can preserve the pattern. So this is the back piece. This will be cut on the fold, and this is the front piece. There will be two pieces of this mirrored with a dart. The vest is gonna be possibly getting other details added to it as I go along. The other thing with the skirt is that I want to do a box pleat or a inverted pleat in the front and just have one. And I also want to have pockets. So those are the two things I really kind of want to have on the skirt. So I have this pattern piece here. This is what I'm going to use to cut the 1/4 circle skirt. So sometimes there's a full circle skirt, a half circle. This is going to be a quarter circle skirt, 1/4 of a circle. And then I have this piece. This is going to be used for the waistband. And then I have my zippers. So the jumper dress that I made in the last video has a zipper that goes from the skirt part all the way up the top. This time I'm only going to use the zipper in the vest, and then I'm going to use this zipper in the skirt in the back, where I'm going to have it zip up and clasp. I'm going to take you along in the process, and if you want to see how all this is going to come together, then I hope you keep watching. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is cut out the first pattern piece. This is folded, and I determined that this inside of the fold is going to be the right side of the fabric. So I'm just going to cut this out. And I'm going to mark the darts. I'm going to do that with pins. Just put this one through both pieces, and then put a pin at the end of each dart here on both pieces. I lift this up and put the pin back in it on the other side of it. So this is where the dart will be, and then I'll lift this up and put a pin right here. Take that one out so that it's through both pieces, and then I'll repeat these pins on this other piece here. And because this fabric is very similar, I want to remember which side is the inside and which side is the outside. So I'm just going to get a piece of tape to make it easier. And I will put a piece of tape here. This tape indicates that this is the inside of this fabric piece, or the wrong side. And I'll do the same thing on here. Both pieces are ready. I'm going to sew in the darts. Put these to the side, and I'm going to align this to the edge here. Okay, that is all set. this is the wrong side. So I'm going to get the tape again, and then I'll just attach it by the shoulders and the sides. I'm going to do an inside lining. I'm not sure what I'm going to use for that, but I definitely want it to be lined. I made the whole vest. I attached it at the side seams only, and then I made a lining with the same fabric. I don't know if people do that, but I'm doing it. Yeah, so I already attached it at the side seams as well, and for both pieces I serged the side seams. So now I'm going to iron them flat, and I'm going to attach these together, and I'm just going to attach them right sides together all the way around the top part of the vest, and then I'm going to flip it over so that the right side is out, and then I'm going to iron it flat again. And I marked this one with these clips to show that this is the lining piece, and I'll always know that this is the right one, the one I want to be facing out. And I'm going to iron these seams going towards the back. I put the lining towards the front so that the two seams are not going in the same direction, and it can give it a little, so it'll be flatter. I don't want to make it too thick at the seam. That is all done well enough. And now I'm going to line up the pieces. I do want to serge these end lines separately. The outside and the inside lining are now serged, and I continue to clip it all the way around, and I'm just going to sew it together now. And here it is all sewed together. I'm probably gonna have to clip the corners, but I want to look at it first. I want to make sure everything looks good before I clip anything. I think it's gonna be fine though. I'm doing this slightly different than what I did with the other thing that I made, the jumper, because I'm gonna connect these at the shoulder now that they are already sewn together. Looks like it's going to be fine. If it's clipped, it'll look even better. And of course this requires a nice pressing. I'm going to go in, cut those little edges to just sharpen these corners. A lot of people clip the curves, but I don't usually find that I need to. So far, I try to clip as little as possible. I don't really like clipping because I feel like it gets so close to the stitch line that I'm afraid that over time it will wear down. So anyway, that's just how I feel. And I'll just continue pressing it out, and then once the top stitch is on, then I will go in and close up the shoulders by just stitching it across like that. And then it'll be like this on the inside, and then I'll flatten the seam allowance on the inside and do a top stitch as well. And I made it right to the end with the bobbin. That like never happens. I got right to the exact last bit of it. So I'm going to wind that up and put the top stitches in. So everything's looking good. Once I wind the bobbin, I will attach these shoulders together, and then I will move on to seeing about where I can place the pockets. Okay, both sides are done now. Probably it's hard to see that, but it is flattened out. Hi, I was going to try to do welt pockets, but because this is a kind of a very fitted vest, I don't want to put anything on the inside. So I'm going to cut squares to make outside pockets, and that's what I'm doing now. So I measured 4 inches by 4 inches is the best square size for the pockets. So I'm cutting 5 by 5 squares out of this fabric, and that's for seam allowance on both ends, and then the top and the bottom to fold everything in. And then I'm going to use these buttons. The screen is so small I can't tell if it's focused on the button or not. Hopefully that's clear. But I have several of these, and I'm going to use these throughout the project. But these will be used to hold the pockets closed once they're added on. So I'm just going to go forward with cutting. Also, I want to give a quick update about the zipper. I was just getting ready to add the zipper, and I got diverted to the pocket because I was going to put on an invisible zipper on this fitted vest. So then how would I get in it? Because the invisible zipper is sealed at the bottom. I had to just really quick order a regular zipper from Amazon. It will be here tomorrow. So it's just a straight zipper where you attach it at the bottom and zip it straight up. And that's going to be added on tomorrow. I'm pretty much just going to use my time to get the pockets set up and other little things that I want to add on to this, because I have several ideas for embellishing this vest. So yeah, let me stop rambling and cut these squares out. Now that those are cut, I'm gonna iron these edges down 1/2 inch on all sides, and then I'll sew the top edge closed. And I am gonna add this heavyweight interfacing. I'm gonna fold it in. I'm gonna iron that in place, and then I'm gonna put the interfacing inside here so that it's not in the folded edge. I don't want to make it too thick. And roll this down, top stitch the top of the pocket, and then I'll make sure everything is nice and smooth, and then this will be added to the front of the vest. I think the last time we talked, I was waiting for a regular zipper to arrive because I realized the invisible zipper was not going to work. And I'm happy to report that the zipper is here. It came in a pack of 3. I feel like this is a little too thick because it's very like sturdy, almost like it should be on a bag. And I'm looking at a bag that looks like it has this exact zipper, but the description says it's for a jacket, which I thought was close enough to a vest. Either way, I'm gonna use it. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna insert that zipper, but in the meantime, while I was waiting for the zipper, I did manage to work on the pocket, which I think I showed you. I said I measured it out to be 4 by 4 inches, but when I laid it on the vest, it looked a little too small. So I redid the pockets and made them just a little bit bigger. So this is them now. I think I measured these at 6 by 6, and then I just folded them in the same way, same process. And then I didn't waste the other pockets, the 4 by 4 pockets, because what I did was I cut one of them in half, and then I made 2 of these little things. I folded it like this, and then I just stitched the short side up and then across the length and then down, and then I have this piece now, and these two pieces are going to be added to the front of the vest right at the top to kind of imitate as if there's pockets up there or like embellishments, because sometimes it's just a little straight thing. And then I'm also going to be putting my embroidery. This is the embroidery trimming that I purchased for the jacket that I made recently, so I'll link to that video if you want to check it out. And I'm going to put this going across here on the little strip, and that will be sewed on either side of the vest at the top, and then the pockets will be down at the bottom of the vest. And then the other thing that I also made while I was waiting for the zipper is this little thing right here. So I cut this two pieces of fabric, I interfaced the middle kind of the same way that I did for the pocket. I'm going to just do a stitch going around, leave a small space, flip this out so that the wrong side is inside, and then stitch it down, top stitching all the way around like this. And these are going to go across the shoulders. That's the plan. And I have buttons that I'm going to add on to that. So I'll have one button on this end and one on this end. It's going to kind of imitate that look that you might see on a jacket or something going this way, but I'm going to turn it this way. I got inspired by something I saw. I'll probably insert that picture here if I can remember, but I'm going to put it that way. So those are all the things that I'm going to do right now to this vest, and I can say that I'm going to do it because I have all the stuff already ready to do that. Okay, so it works pretty good, and it doesn't have to work too good because I'm not even going to be using these pockets. It's pretty much just for show. All the pieces are on except for the shoulder pieces. This is going to be sewed through both layers. The lining piece, all I'm going to do is fold this in and then sew it straight to the zipper like this, so it's all closed in. Then I will smooth everything down and do the same thing on the bottom. I already have this front edge folded up. I'm going to take the lining piece and fold it in and then kind of match these up like this. I just want to show you that I already added the other pieces. The pockets are on, they are functioning, the buttons are sewed on, these little added pieces are on there, and then I added these pieces that I talked about before. It's only connected by a little bit of stitching underneath here and then the button, and I used some thick thread. So that's that side, and this is this side. And then what I'm going to do on the back is add 2 more buttons. You know how a lot of times like jackets and vests will have like a thing going across here? I want to put a strip across here like one of these, but I'm going to sew 2 buttons, and then I'm going to bring a chain and attach it in a swoop with these 2 buttons, and I'll show you where I'm getting the chains from. Here are these are like shoulder jewelry. When I made my grandmother's birthday dress, I purchased a bunch of these, I think 4, and I didn't know what style I was going to use, so some were chains and some were pearls, and I ended up using like a pearl looking thing on her dress. So I had this left over, so I'm going to cut some pieces off of this and decorate the vest. I'm going to move forward with just closing up this hem here. Time to work on the skirt. So right here I'm getting the length that I want for the skirt. I'm measuring down about 28 inches. And then I'm going to go across the top and mark a straight line, and that's going to be the corner that I'm going to start measuring the skirt out from. And that little strip of pattern piece that I have there, that little cardboard strip, I measured my waist for a quarter circle skirt. I took my waist in inches and divided it by 1.57. I measured that out on that little cardstock thing, and then I cut it out. That's what I'm going to use to come down from the corner where I drew that line. I'm marking where the end of that little tab is. There's a hole I'm putting the pen in on that pattern piece, and I'm just drawing all the way around from the end of the paper to that line that I drew, and that's going to be the waistline for the quarter circle skirt. I'm measuring down the 28 inches again, so I know I have enough when I measured originally. So now I'm just going to go around and I'm going to mark 28 inches all the way around that line as far as I can on this paper. And once I have all the lines drawn, I'm going to cut this out, and this is going to be the start of the pattern, and it is going to cut off, but I don't need all of it, and I'll show you how it's going to work. Now that I have the template made, this is how the full skirt would look if it was completely opened. But I'm only going to use it in the half. So I'm going to cut this part off. And then I'm left with just this. So for the back panel, I'm going to fold this in half because I need 2 panels at the back. There's going to be a zipper down the middle, and I'm going to put pockets. So I need the side seam to be open. And I'm going to lay it down here. And then I'm going to add seam allowance. I'm going to put 1/2 inch seam allowance on either side, and then I'm going to cut the back again in 2 panels. And then I'm going to cut the front panel. The front panel needs to be 1 piece because that's where I'm adding the inverted pleat. All right, now I'm going to be walking you through the process that I'm using to make the skirt part. And I already kind of formed it a little bit just to get an idea of what I want to do. This is the fabric that's left after cutting the 2 back panels. And I'm kind of just freestyling it. I'm going to let, I guess, this be like my middle line. Maybe I should get a pin. This is going to be my center, and I'm just going to pull the fabric in by 2 inches on either side of this. And it's going to give me 3 layers of fabric 2 inches wide. That looks about right. I'll just pin that down. I'm going to try to keep this center line, so I'm going to put another pin coming down. And the great thing about this fabric is that it already has lines which I've been using to make some of the cuts. And then I'm actually going to pin the fabric together because I want it to stay closed all the way down. I'm just going to keep pinning. Alright, I'll go a little further down later, but I'm going to bring the other side in now and do the same thing. And I'm going to go all the way down to the 28-inch line, which is the length of the skirt that I want to be, because I won't obviously need to go any further than that. And now I'm going to take the pattern piece, which is folded in half, and I'm going to use that fold line to place right in the middle of that seam, and then that will let me know where the middle is, and then I can cut it. Okay, I just want to show where we are in the process right now. I have the two back panels. I'm getting ready to insert the zipper. Here's the zipper. I also have the waistband cut. This is the full waistband. Of course, it's going to get folded. I'm going to add interfacing in there. This is the template that I used to create about a 1-inch waistband in the end once this is folded in its proper way. And then I have 4 pocket pieces cut using the pattern for the Melody dress by Dressmaking Amour or Amore, I don't know. But the Melody dress that I've made like 2 times now, I'm using the same pocket pattern for that. And once I put the zipper in, I will then follow a process that I've never tried before to insert the pockets, and I will walk you through that process. Okay, but before I do that, I want to show you what I'm going to do for this inverted pleat. I have it all pinned down. Everything is folded in. This is where the pleat is going all the way down, and I have it pinned so that it stays closed. I want the pleat to start further down. I don't want it to start at the very, very top of the waistband. I measured down 3 inches from the top, and this is where I marked. On the inside here, I'm going to sew these pleats together, stitch to connect inside there, so that these 2 pieces inside the fold or underneath all of this will be connected for 3 inches from the top. Then with the 1-inch waistband, it'll be 4 inches from the top, and then the pleat will open once it comes down here. So I'm going to put that in place, and then I'm going to connect it with the back piece. I have to add that I serged all the seams. The 2 back skirt panels, the front skirt panel, and the 4 pocket pieces, I serged all the edges. The zipper is pinned in place, and I'm going to sew straight down here to connect it, and then I will flip this over, pin it down here, and then sew a straight stitch down this way as well. Zipper is all placed nicely. It's looking good. Yeah, it's even at the top. I'm so happy about that. Now I'm just gonna flip this over this way and then lift this up, and I'm gonna just do a straight stitch down the back to close up the back seam, and I'm gonna make sure my zipper foot is on the side where it's letting my needle get as close to the seam as possible. The needle right now is centered. I'm gonna move it this way. That brought it over to there. Now when I place this underneath, this needle is as far over as it can be to get close to this line. I'm going to go up higher, so this is all going to be covered within the seam. Put the presser foot down and then sew all the way down with this same foot, and just maintaining that 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is going to be right in there. And then just start, do a quick back stitch. Now, hoping for success when I look at this, because you never know, sometimes it's not right. And I'm looking at it for the first time with you. It looks good. It's one continuous line from the zipper here and then the seam. And then of course this needs a good press so that the seam allowance is pressed out, is opened up and going to either side. Okay, so I'm on to adding the pockets. The way to do this is I'm going to sew these pieces together, the front and back panels, and I'm going to leave a space for the pocket. This is the pocket flap where it would be attached here, and all I'm going to do is sew down about 2 inches down on either side to connect these two pieces together, and then I'm going to leave a space. I'll measure that out and mark it and leave a space there, and then I'll continue sewing all the way down the sides. Here's the side seam. I've sewed it down about 2.5 inches this way, left the space for the pocket, and then I sewed it the rest of the way down, and now this is how I'm going to insert the pocket. Bring this over to the iron and press the seam allowance over on one side, and I'm going to take the pocket flap, and because this is the tape side, that's the wrong side, I'm going to take the edge of the pocket flap basically where the serge line is and fold it in toward itself, and I'm going to press it like this. And I'm going to take the other one and do the same thing. And now I'm going to take the pocket flap with the pressed side, I'm going to put it right on the edge here, and I'm going to have the right side facing up, and I'll mark it 2 inches down from that top line and pin it into place right there. Sew a straight stitch down this line here. Okay, that's what it looks like. And now the other seam is already ironed flat this way, so I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to match this up with the top line of the pocket on the other side, pin it down, and sew it straight down across that seam allowance. And now with the two flaps attached, this is what it looks like. Now we bring these together and sew from this line, do a couple of stitches back and forth, and then go all the way around the pocket up to here, and then back and forth a few more times on that end, and then the flaps will be connected and the pocket will be in place. I can take these off now. With the pocket in place right here, I already have it marked with the pin, and I'm going to just do a quick top stitch across the top. This is on the outside of the pocket, just to hold the seam flat, and I'll do that on both sides, of course. And then I tried it on quickly and it's a little too big. I don't know how this happens. It always seems to be bigger than I expect, even though I feel like I'm measuring accurately. But I think I kind of cut a little bit bigger just because I'm nervous about it being too small. I'm going to make darts in the back, and I'm going to pull it in approximately 2 inches on both sides on this back panel on either side of the zipper. So this is one side and this is the other. Again, I'm going to just bring it in, make a dart that goes down about 3 inches maybe, and then I will put the waistband on. I did all that explanation and the microphone wasn't on. I hope you could hear me. Do I have to say all that over again? I'm gonna just do it in fast speed if I can. Here's the waistband. It has interfacing on it. I'm gonna cut it to make the length that it needs to be, and I want it to meet in the back. I don't want it to be too bulgy. I've also created the darts in the back. Oh, I forgot to mention the darts. I have darts in the back of the skirt because it was a little too big. Then I also unpinned everything. You just saw me unpin it. I want to flatten these pleats in the front, but I don't want them to be completely sewed in. I just want to get barely to the edge of the fold so that the pleat doesn't widen when I'm wearing it too much. And also when I wash it, I don't want the pleats to come out completely where I have to iron them like crazy to get them back in. So that's the basis of this. I'm gonna move forward with sewing just a very wide stitch using the widest stitch on my machine to straight stitch down the sides of the pleats, and then I will move forward with adding the waistband. Hopefully that was good. Okay, see you later. Now I have the waistband pinned to where I'm going to sew it on the inside, but I need to close off this other end right here. So I'm just going to flip this backwards. This is the extension piece I want to keep. I'm going to fold this together and then line up the folds of the two seam allowances, and then sew from this edge here, come down, and then sew across in this line until I get to where the zipper is. And then this gets folded over and everything can be stitched straight across to hold this line in, and this is the little flap that will hold the waistband together. I have the skirt on the mannequin to do the hem, and it's significantly longer in the front, so most of the material is going to come off on the front, and I'm just marking it with a ruler like this, and it's about the 5-inch line is where everything is in the back. So I'm just making lines where that 5 inches is. I am concerned about losing the length, so I think I'm going to make a bias strip to go around the bottom instead of hemming it. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do. I decided to add the chain from that piece that I mentioned, so I'm just going to sew that inside the button here and attach it to this piece, and then I'm going to use the other piece of chain for a belt. I looked to embellish it even further, and it doesn't, just it would be too much. This is how it stands at this moment. If anything is different, it will be evident in the reveal, but I think we're going to go with what I just said, and then I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.